What's up, guys? It's Failed Fortitude here, back again, once again, all the time with Now. So, I've been off the grid, if you will. Haven't been doing that much on the channel, and I do apologize. I'm not gonna say it in every single one of my videos, but I do apologize. Real life has gotten important to me. Been looking for a job again. Just all that jazz and stuff. I'm not gonna, do a 30,000 long minute video just to explain real life. Everybody gets through that crap. Anywho, I've been meaning to do a lot of videos. It doesn't help that, we've been given kind of like a schedule now, and so on and so forth. I'm not cutting that out. But I will just leave it at that. Anyways, it doesn't look like we're going to be doing the Power Ranger review in the normal, in our nerdy opinion style, but Power Rangers does cover what I like to cover. So, I'm going to give you my thoughts on that right now. It's probably not going to be as in detail because it has been over a month since I've seen it, and it's honestly starting to fade in my head. Well, yeah, figures I wouldn't yawn at all before, and then I yawn in the middle of me recording. But I'm gonna give it my best shot. Honestly, I really did like the movie. The very few faults I have are very minor compared to anything else. The story was really good. They introduced the characters in a very different way. I mean, the way that we were introduced to the characters beforehand, it was, if I believe, at Ernie's Juice Bar. Everybody just happened to be there. I mean, that was a thing back in most 90s shows, that everybody had a hangout that they needed to go to. But you get introduced to Jason first through a prank, and was actually kind of surprised that Saban, I know it was a PG-13 movie. If I remember correctly, I think it is a PG-13 movie. But they end up doing a jack-off joke. I will give that balls, and it did make me laugh. I need to scratch my back. I'm crap. It will make me laugh. It did make me laugh, but I will honestly just shake my head at the people who tore down Adi Shankar's interpretation of Power Rangers, the grittier, darker, kind of like child soldier thing, but they're completely fine with dick jokes. Anywho, we get introduced to Kimberly and Billy through the detention that Jason now has to go to. We get introduced to Trini and Zach at the quarry that Jason's Billy end up going to, and somehow end up meeting Kimberly. So I guess instead of a juice bar, the quarry was going to be their hangout and things like that. And everything starts going on there. They end up discovering the powers, they end up escaping the police, finding out they have powers now, and eventually just going on throughout the entire movie. I mean, yes, the movie's been out, but I'm not going to spoil you guys for anything. And honestly, to prove to you that when I'm actually doing this video, let's see. Let's see how can, there we go. Right there. Hopefully it flips over, but it says Saturday, May 20th. So it's I'm not doing this video at all after the movie or anything like that. It's been a good amount of time, but I'm still gonna be on the whole non-spoiler version of this. I mean, maybe if it was more fresh in my head, I would have been spoilerific. But they end up meeting Zordon. They end up finding out what they need to do, and they train. I love the training montage. Putties, in my opinion, could have looked more like putties. They look more like golems, but that's again a minor complaint. I actually liked Alpha. I'm not gonna lie. I am willing to admit my faults. I fucking despised Alpha when I first saw him. I was like, he doesn't look like a robot. He looks more like an alien. and I guess they're going for that alien robot vibe. But still, I would have preferred maybe a more robotic look. But I loved Bill Hader's performance as Alpha. Zordon was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, Bryan Cranston's Zordon was pretty good. I was excited when he was first announced as the new Zordon, but kind of more of a dick than a mentor. I like it. I mean, in all seriousness, in this day and age, teenagers are little assholes. I know I was a piece of shit to a degree, but that's me. Rita, I liked her. She was darker. I did not expect. Wow, her name is escaping me. I'm gonna have to look it up. And if you saw right there, it's almost like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I have no idea why I'm yawning so damn much. God damn it. Yeah, again, you won't see this in I know review that much. Us looking up shit. Let's see, MMPR movie. Yeah. Elizabeth Banks. So I literally could not remember her, and I like her in a lot of my movies. Anyways, Elizabeth Banks surprised me as Rita. I'm gonna be honest, I'm still not a big fan of the look as Rita. I'm not a big fan of it. I would have preferred a more Rita-esque color design. Maybe even the hairstyle still be like kind of like the Witch Pandora horns, but her performance knocked it out of the park. She stole a lot of scenes. Goldar blew. Like, oh my god, they fucking fucked up with Goldar. I do like the fact that he had to be made of gold, but they could have made him more similar to what Goldar looks like. And a lot of people are going to probably be negative towards it, negative towards me and whatnot, by saying, oh, it's a reboot, it's a reimagining, and not everything has to be the same. I was like, at least make it similar. Not a fan of the Megazord. I liked the Zords before they transformed. I'm trying to get a better lighting out here. I like the Zords before they transformed, the way that they looked, even though the Mastodon had like 6 legs or some crap like that. The legs were just not making any sense, but I do like that. I did like that. The combined form, no, it was awful. Just give me a more updated version of the way that the original Megazord looked, and I'm fine. I am completely fine with that. They hinted at Tommy at the end. Don't know if that's actually gonna happen. There are rumors saying that the Power Ranger movies are canceled because they didn't do well overseas, but I don't care how xenophobic this sounds. I don't care how messed up this sounds. I don't give a fuck if it doesn't do good overseas. If it did good in America, release it in America. But then again, it's all about money. Yeah, I know. There was one thing that made me laugh, and this was way before the movies were even released. The movie was even released. When they showed the trailer of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, or Power Rangers the movie, to the Japan audience, they were like, wow, Americans love Zoo Ranger. Honestly, looking back on it now, I'm taking nostalgia glasses off. MMPR was a great series. It introduced us, if you compare it to every other season, like if you just compare the season 1, 2, and 3 separately, it's weak. I mean, the only good one was probably season 1, and that's because of the introduction of Tommy and the storytelling with that. Everything else, it kind of like they're kind of falling short in my opinion. But as an overall, if you take all 3 seasons and just leave it like that, that's one giant season, it's the best season because it has a lot of storytelling going on in it. But it's very cheesy. Like it cringes. It makes me cringe, and I hate using that term, but it makes me cringe looking back on it now. But no other Sentai fans or purists or anything like that, or people from Japan. The only reason why MMPR is still using the Zoo Ranger suits and shit like that, it's because money issues. Saban did not want to fork over the extra money to do the new rights and all that. Eventually, he started doing it, but it was also during the time where kids can easily be turned off by changing things. So changing the suits would have immediately been a bad thing. But I'm not gonna say who. Fuck it. I'm gonna say who cameos in it. Jason David Frank and Amy Jo Johnson. I almost said Amy Scott for some reason. I don't even know if Amy Scott's a real person. If you are, I'm sorry. But Amy Jo Johnson, they both appear. It's hinted that it's basically Kimberly and Tommy, but the movie was really great. I want to say the person who played Billy was a dude named R.J. Seiler. He was probably the best actor on there. Seemed more real. There was one, like I said, okay, there's a minor things that I'm just against. The changing of the putties, the way the Goldar look, and the way the Megazord look. Those are my three main things that I really didn't like. I didn't like the fact they didn't really have a morphing sequence also. It was just like... Yeah. I mean, I'm not expecting like a Kamen Rider-esque or even a Power Rangers, like, a Sentai or Power Rangers-esque morphing sequence, but like... They sold morphers for the kids. They sold, the morpher toys. Why didn't you use something like that? Like, it looked like, honestly, it looked like a Agito belt. But that was another thing. And this is my own personal opinion. Valid fortitude only on this opinion. Don't bash anybody else. I'm a very outspoken individual. I'm a person that speaks their mind, even though sometimes I do have a collar around me by others who, either edit or things like that, or just people I'm around. I have to sometimes hold back what I want to say. I wasn't against and I wasn't for. I was in that weird middle of like, I'm very indifferent, but at the same time, I could have done without the need to appeal to everybody. Every little person as like their own little special snowflake. And it's really like, and I'm mainly only talking about the ones that really stood out as the special snowflakes. Making Billy autistic, character-wise, that kind of makes sense by the way that he acts and everything. It makes perfect sense, but it was unneeded. You didn't even need to bring that up. The people still get made fun of for being a nerd. I mean, hell, just recently I ended up reading something about some like 15-year-old kid committed suicide because they made fun of him. I was made fun of for most of my life. I'm still alive. Maybe it was just because kids weren't as cruel back then, and I do feel for that kid's family, and I wish that dude would have just opened up to somebody and talked. But people still get made fun of for being a nerd, for being a geek, for being smarter than the average individual. There was no need to make Billy an autistic person. Like I said, in the story-wise, it made sense, but there was no need to do it, like, kind of deal. They could have easily wrote a different... I mean, I feel like they did that late into the game. But, I like I said, I'm neither against it nor for it. It felt forced. The same thing with the fact that they made Trini lesbian or bi-curious. Les-curious? Either way, they made her question her sexuality and all that. They could have been doing just fine because she had issues with her parents trying to fit her in the mold, which is something that every kid can understand. I dealt with that for a long time with my father. I didn't fit in the mold he wanted me to be in. You know, he wanted this type of son. I'm this type of son. You know. So having her deal with a crisis where she can't get acceptance from her family and they just want to fit her in a different mold, I dig it. I understand. There's no need for her to be lesbian or anything like that, or at least introduced so randomly and out of nowhere kind of deal. Like, it was just like, the best way I can kind of describe it is this. Girl was walking by. She's cute. You know, you happen to notice, you know, like, for instance, she's wearing this shirt, Power Ranger shirt. I'm a Power Ranger fan. I love Sentai. I love Kamen Rider. Hey, I like your shirt. I have a boyfriend. That to me, that's how it felt. It felt like that, where she, you know, I mean, I understand it was when she was opening up and the campfire scene and everything like that, but it really felt like it just didn't need to be there. It was just like, appeal to the masses. And it's just because everybody in this day and age, literally in this day and age, this past, like, I would say year or two, everything almost seems to be like almost a fad. And I'm using that in a very loose term. You know, I do understand there's people that identify themselves whatever the hell they identify themselves, and they have the right to do that. But it also seems like kids today are just doing it for attention. Or just it has to be public. It can't just be to yourself. It can't be to like your close things. It's like you don't see me running out there and just being like, I'm fat, I'm into Japanese stuff, I'm a gamer. You know, it comes up in conversation, I'll do it. But that's just the way I see it. But I've talked about enough of the movies so far, so do me a favor, let's make a little game out of this. I'm going to do this for any one of my videos. Let's see if we can get 10 likes on this. And I'm saying 10 likes only because we're new. It's going to take a long time before we become huge stars, and I want to look back on this in 2, 3, maybe even 4 years and be like, with our 1 million subscribers, and I'm like, man, look at how ambitious we were. Anyways, drop 10 likes on that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell to notifications so you can get emails, text messages, any form of things. Find out, spread the word. In our nerdy opinion, it's going to be the next big thing. I'm Feld Fortitude, and I've been here.